The moment I realized that my mother-in-law's birthday party was about to become the stage for my ultimate comeback, I felt a thrill of exhilaration mixed with quiet vindication. I had spent years silently planning my escape from her constant belittlement, and now, at her lavish celebration, fate was finally on my side. I had secretly bought the venue, a stunning old mansion tucked away on the outskirts of the city, just months before the party. As I watched her strut into the hall with her usual air of self-importance, little did she know that the grand space surrounding her was mine. In those first moments, as shimmering chandeliers cast prismatic light over marble floors, my carefully hidden secret promised that tonight, everything was about to change. I still remember that cool autumn evening, when the leaves outside danced in the gentle breeze and the sky was painted with the warm hues of a setting sun. I had arrived early at the mansion, now a venue I proudly owned, and spent hours preparing every detail for the party. I arranged the tables with elegant linens, set out centerpieces of deep red roses, and even hand-selected the playlist that would fill the hall with a subtle blend of classic and contemporary tunes. Every detail was meticulously planned, not just as a celebration of my mother-in-law's birthday, but as my chance to reclaim dignity in a family that had long undermined me. My mother-in-law, Gloria, was a force of nature, commanding, imperious, and often cruelly critical. For decades, she had made it her mission to remind everyone, especially me, that nothing was ever quite good enough. At family gatherings, she would deliver biting comments about my choices, my appearance, and even my very presence, all while parading her own lavish lifestyle as a standard to which I could never aspire. I'd endured her barbs silently for years, each remark leaving a small scar on my self-esteem. And then, one day when I could no longer bear the constant humiliation, I decided that enough was enough. I worked tirelessly to save and eventually purchase a beautiful old mansion that I transformed into an event venue, a hidden jewel in the city where I could finally show the world my worth. The idea came to me on a sleepless night when I was reading through property listings online. I realized that this venue could be my sanctuary, a place where I was in complete control. I poured every spare dollar into renovating the mansion, preserving its timeless charm while modernizing its facilities. I even kept the purchase a secret from my family, especially Gloria, knowing that if she learned I owned the place, it would be the ultimate rebuttal to all her demeaning remarks. It became my silent rebellion, a way to prove that I was more than the sum of their insults. The day of the party arrived with an air of festive anticipation. My husband, Richard, had been supportive throughout, even though he, too, often found himself at odds with his mother's domineering personality. He had promised me that tonight would be his chance to stand up for us both, to finally defy Gloria's relentless criticism. Yet I knew that the real victory would come when Gloria discovered that she was hosting her birthday celebration in a venue that was, in fact, mine, a fact that would render her snide comparisons and condescending remarks utterly impotent. As guests began to arrive, the mansion buzzed with chatter, laughter, and the clinking of champagne glasses. I mingled quietly, observing the scene with a mixture of satisfaction and nervous anticipation. Every time I saw Gloria laugh with her friends, I recalled the many times she had sneered at my choices and dismissed my achievements. I remembered when she had once told me that I would never be able to afford such luxuries, that I was destined to remain in the background. Now here I was, in a place that I had built with my own hands, a silent testament to my perseverance. At precisely 7 p.m., the formal program began. The guests were seated in the grand dining hall, where ornate candelabras and rich, burgundy drapes set a dramatic scene. Gloria, resplendent in a deep emerald gown that contrasted with her steely gaze, took center stage to deliver her birthday speech. As she began to speak, her voice proud, her tone laced with superiority, I felt a surge of adrenaline. I knew that my moment was approaching. I waited until the applause died down and then, with measured calm, I stepped forward from the shadows. "Gloria," I said, my voice clear and resonant, "happy birthday." The room fell silent, all eyes turning to me. For a long, tense moment, no one spoke. Gloria's face contorted into a mixture of confusion and indignation as I continued, "I'd like to thank you for hosting this wonderful celebration tonight. It's truly an honor to be here. But I have a little surprise that I think you'll find quite enlightening." The crowd murmured, curious and uneasy as I led them toward the grand foyer. There, I motioned for the lights to be dimmed, and with a flourish, I unveiled a series of large projected photographs. The images displayed the history of the mansion, from its original construction in the early 1900s to its recent transformation. I pointed out every detail, every meticulously restored feature, until the final slide appeared, a bold, unmistakable caption that read, proudly owned and operated by Sarah. Gasps filled the room. For a moment, time seemed to stand still as Gloria's eyes widened in shock. Her carefully maintained facade of superiority began to crumble under the weight of the truth. You own this place?" she stuttered, her voice trembling. The silence that followed was palpable, a heavy blanket of astonishment draped over the assembled guests. I watched as expressions shifted. Some faces lit up with admiration, others with disbelief, and a few with subtle hints of shame. I continued, "All these years, I have worked tirelessly to build a future for myself, one that I believed you too could be proud of. While you may have tried to diminish me, to remind me that I was never enough, I have always known that my worth is defined by my actions, my integrity, and my unyielding perseverance. Tonight, I stand before you not as the person you once tried to cast aside, but as the owner of this beautiful venue, a symbol of what I have built with my own hands." A low murmur of approval rippled through the crowd. Even Richard's eyes shone with a mixture of pride and regret as he looked at me. For a brief, charged moment, I saw Gloria's expression shift from shock to bitter denial. She tried to recover her composure, her voice faltering as she demanded, "This is preposterous. How dare you?" But I raised my hand and the room fell silent again. "Gloria," I said calmly, "I know you have your opinions about what is right or proper. But tonight is not about judgment, it's about truth. And the truth is that I have worked every day to become someone worthy of my own dreams. I have built this venue as a testament to that journey. I will not be defined by your narrow view of success or by your attempts to hold me back. I have every right to celebrate my accomplishments, and tonight I celebrate not only your birthday but also my independence." The words hung in the air like a challenge to the old order of our family, to the outdated rules that had once dictated who was worthy of love and success. Gloria's face, once so imperious, now crumpled into a mask of disbelief and anger. I could see tears welling in her eyes, tears of humiliation, of shock at the reversal of roles. For the first time in my life, I felt an overwhelming sense of liberation, as though I had finally stepped out of the shadows of their disdain. Over the following days, the news of my revelation spread like wildfire. Relatives, once loyal to Gloria's harsh judgments, now expressed admiration for the strength I had shown. Some even apologized for their complicity in the years of exclusion. Richard, who had long been torn between loyalty to his mother and his love for me, approached me with quiet remorse. "Sarah," he said softly one evening, "I'm sorry. I should have stood by you. You've always been my rock, and I regret not realizing your worth sooner." His words, though too little too late, offered a glimmer of hope that perhaps, amidst the chaos, there could be a path to healing. I also began to see changes in my own perspective. The humiliation I had felt that night slowly transformed into a catalyst for personal growth. I invested more deeply in my career, expanding my freelance business and even launching a small event planning company that specialized in transforming unique venues into unforgettable experiences. Every new project was a reminder that I was capable, that I had the power to create beauty from adversity. I started to write more extensively on my blog, sharing not only the raw details of that night but also the lessons I had learned about resilience, self-worth, and the importance of standing up for oneself. One crisp morning, nearly 6 months later, I found myself invited to a reunion with some of my former relatives. A chance for a fresh start, a moment to see if the wounds of the past could begin to heal. I walked into the familiar dining hall, my presence commanding attention without a word. My mother-in-law, Gloria, avoided eye contact, her demeanor subdued and her earlier arrogance replaced by a guarded sorrow. In a quiet corner, I caught sight of Richard, his eyes reflecting both regret and a renewed respect. I realized that the truth I had revealed had not only transformed my own life but had forced them to confront the consequences of their actions. The conversation that night was tentative, filled with apologies and the cautious hope of reconciliation. "I never meant to diminish you," Gloria finally whispered to me, her voice laden with remorse. "I was blinded by my own insecurities and I'm sorry." While her apology could never fully erase the years of exclusion, it marked a beginning, a small step toward healing old wounds and rebuilding a family based on mutual respect. As the seasons changed, so did our family dynamics. The old tensions that had once seemed insurmountable began to ease, replaced by a tentative, awkward understanding. I made a conscious decision to let go of the bitterness that had weighed me down for so long. I realized that while I could never forget the pain of being disowned or humiliated, I could choose to redefine my relationships on my own terms. I continued to nurture my career, my art, and my writing, each new accomplishment a quiet celebration of the woman I had become. My blog grew into a vibrant community of voices sharing their own stories of resilience, and I found that in telling my truth, I helped others find the strength to rise above their own betrayals. There were still days when the memory of that fateful birthday party would wash over me like a tidal wave, a sharp reminder of the moment when my mother-in-law's scathing words had met my hidden secret, turning humiliation into triumph. On such days, I would retreat to my studio, where I would paint until the pain transformed into color on canvas, until every brushstroke was a declaration of my newfound freedom. I learned that every scar, every bitter memory, was not a mark of defeat but a testament to my survival and my ability to overcome even the most insidious forms of betrayal. Now, nearly 2 years after that life-altering night, I stand in a place of quiet empowerment. I have built a life defined by authenticity, creativity, and a deep, unshakable belief in my own worth. I occasionally receive messages from family members, apologies, reassurances, even attempts at reconciliation. They remind me of the old days when I was seen as a burden, an outsider unworthy of love. But I know now that my value is not measured by their acceptance, but by the strength I have found in the most trying of circumstances. In one particularly moving conversation, my estranged sister reached out to tell me that she had always envied the independence I had shown, that she wished she could have been as strong as me. "I'm sorry I never stood up for you," she texted. "You deserve so much better." Those words, though tinged with regret, reaffirmed that my journey was not in vain, that every tear, every moment of pain, had led me to a place where I could define my own future. I continue to explore new opportunities both professionally and personally. I've expanded my event planning business, turning the venue I once secretly owned into a hub for celebrations that reflect the beauty of transformation. I host workshops on resilience and self-worth, sharing my story with those who feel trapped by the expectations of others. Every new endeavor, every connection I forge, is a reminder that the power to reclaim one's life lies within, unbounded by the judgments of those who once tried to keep you away. Reflecting on the journey from that moment of family humiliation to where I am now, I realized that the true victory was not in the shock I delivered to those who had wronged me, but in the transformation that followed. I learned that no one can define your worth except you, and that sometimes, the most painful betrayals are the catalyst for the most profound personal growth. I stand here today not as the abandoned daughter of a flawed family, but as a woman who has risen above rejection, embraced her true self, and built a future that is entirely her own. This is my story, a story of humiliation turned to triumph, of betrayal transformed into empowerment, and of a journey that began with a family's deliberate exclusion and ended with the rediscovery of self-worth. My mother-in-law's birthday party, meant to humiliate me, ultimately backfired, leaving her speechless as I revealed the secret of my ownership of the venue and, more importantly, as I reclaimed my identity. I will always carry the scars of that night, but they no longer define me. Instead, they serve as a constant reminder that I am resilient, capable, and infinitely worthy of love and respect. As I look forward, I carry the lessons of the past like a cherished tapestry, each thread a memory, each scar a badge of honor. I now know that true happiness is not found in the approval of others but in the quiet confidence of knowing who you are and what you stand for. And so, I step into each new day with the unshakable belief that my destiny is mine to shape, a destiny defined not by the cruelty of my past, but by the boundless promise of the future I create with every courageous, determined step I take.